Jesus said, "Follow me." And therefore, it's the same words as the fisherman heard and the tax collector and the zealot, and follow me. So through our lives, we are following Jesus in what we have been called to do, whether that's to be a healer, whether that's to be a prayerful Christian, whether that's to be a sacramental Christian. We've been called to follow him. And logically, in this world, where does that bring us? To the place of salvation, which was on that cross. So we are coming to the foot of the cross. So our journey, I say, is to the foot of the cross. What happened on that cross? Well, heaven meets earth on that cross. And everything that needed to be done for us was done in that instant on that cross. We were speaking about this earlier, weren't we? Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? When the Son of God, when Jesus felt absolutely, totally, completely abandoned, just for that split second. And then, final words, it is finished. Everything that needed to be done for our salvation, but for those that come along behind us, has already been done on that cross. And our journeys, as Christian people in this world, I believe, is to the foot of that cross. And what happens from then on is going to be godly. Answer your question?
Yes, thank you. You've explained very clearly.
Thank you. You look like another difficult one was coming just.
Well, we know Christ didn't stop there.
No, exactly.
But I'll leave you to tell your story.
So nowadays we are not buildings. Yes, we are. We're living stones. So the OCAC people, we're all part-time, unpaid, volunteer clergy, and that's difficult. Think of St John's Ambulance. It is, in this country, at least, I know in the Channel Islands it's more paid and all that, but it is a voluntary organisation where people join up to deliver healing. There's a familiarity here. So we have morphed from being a small and difficult, leaky-roofed church into being a small and difficult voluntary organisation of people that have been called to a ministry and say, I feel called to do a ministry. I need to be able to do that. And therefore we are providing that structure, that accountability, the legal entity to work inside to be that. So we have all of those things within OCAC today. And you'll see we've got dispersed religious orders, which is a little bit more traditional, because we have the orders of St Francis of Clare, we have the Carmelite order, where people exercise their ministries in a particular charism, whether that be following St Francis or whether it be following the Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Some people find great solace in that, other people don't. But it doesn't matter, because we're not just daffodils or roses, we can be tulips, we can be bluebells, we can be buttercups, we can be all sorts of things, because that diversity is the hallmark of God's creation. Street preaching. Got to be done, hasn't it?
Yes.
Out in the street, giving them what for. And a lot of people won't do that sort of thing nowadays. And you'll also find that people will say, oh, you can't do that nowadays. Well, yes, we are still a free country, and we can and must get out into the streets and say about Jesus. I can't do that very well. I know somebody can. And we do have other people within our church that go and do that. But it's also important that we remember that if we're going to make issues out of these things, then we're going to delay our journey to the cross, and we're going to delay other people's journeys to the cross. Very often, where we went yesterday, I'm going off track now, where we went yesterday, the Clock Tower in Leicester, one of the churches that we visited over the weekend said, well, you can't go preaching there, you can't go preaching there, they'll move you on, you can't go preaching there. So we went preaching there, didn't we? Because Elaine likes doing things like that. Can't go there. We'll go there instead.
People need Jesus, don't they? They
They all
need to need to know about
Absolutely.
salvation.
I really, really do. Well, what we tend to do, because we are a responsible organisation, we do have accountability, we do have to present Christ first and foremost, but also in a way that enables us to sustain that and continue doing that. Went up and had a look at what the dispersal notices were and what the bylaws were for the place. And as long as there was no amplification and there was no leaflets being given out, we were not going to be breaking any rules. And that was true.
Although, may I say, as a street preacher, that doesn't matter to me. I'll just go where the Lord sends me,
Well, indeed.
regardless,
Indeed.
even if I got arrested.
I know.
Yes.
I think the police are outdoors now at the moment. So, but yes, but look at what's going on here. The devil's laughing his head off, isn't he? The Christians are too frightened to appear to be Christian, too frightened to go and stand on the street and talk about Jesus, and yet there's no reason why we can't do that. But we do need to be a little bit savvy, and we do need to try and understand that if we deliver that message and get carted off by the police in front of everyone, the message is diluted. If we stand and deliver that message and people are edified, people come and speak, people are interested, then Christ is not. But it's also our job to sow seeds, not hang around and watch them grow. So we may or may not know. In fact, it's probably better if we don't know what the result of our preachings are. Homeless, prayer and food bank. These are the sort of things that the people in OCAC do now. That's Father Rob wearing a stole and praying. And again, some people, I've seen Methodist and URC type food banks where they just hand the food out. Good for that, that's brilliant. That's fine, people are hungry, need it. But actually we do have to be seen to be Christian. I think that is important. I think that's really important in this day and age. I really, really do. Because where are the Christians? Where are we? We tend to have more chaplaincy though in OCAC. So we have police chaplains. We've actually got quite a number of police chaplains. And these are the people that pray with the police. Father David Knight there actually goes out on patrol with them sometimes. He's not a policeman, but he goes, and it's a tough job, isn't it? When you've had to deal with a lot of these people, some of them, especially, you know, if you're a Christian policeman, you've had to go out and
We have a police chaplain.
You are?
Not me, we have one.
Good.
He's called
Excellent.
Michael Locke.
So yes, good
Some of
work.
you may not know that.
No, I didn't. I'm going to be asking you difficult questions in a minute. We'll find